it's Evan Carmichael, and I make these videos because chances are you are the most ambitious person in your circle, but you know you're capable of more, and you get that push by surrounding yourself with the best. So today, let's learn from one of the best, Marisa Peer, and my take on her top 50 rules for success. Enjoy.
So the first thing that people who are incredibly successful do is they do what they hate. They are fully prepared to do what they hate to get to where they want to be. And people who fail, they will give up their dream before they do what they hate to do. And people who are very successful, they never, ever, ever wait for motivation. They do it because when you do it, you become motivated. A great writer won't go, well, I'll just wait till I'm really motivated to start writing this book. No, they get up at 4 a.m, they don't want to, and they start to write, and then of course they become motivated. So you wake up in the morning and you go, you're not going to go, yay, it's 5 a.m, I'm putting on my running shoes and going for a walk up Laurel Canyon. Of course you're not going to do that. You're going to wake up and go, God, I really hate working out. But Marisa said, successful people do what they hate to get to where they want to be. Because of course the wonderful thing is that when you do what you hate first enough times, it starts to become natural. Like, I've got to do my taxes, I'll do that first thing. I've got to confront someone, I'll do it first. And so I still, to this day, wake up and think, oh, I don't really want to do that, so I'm going to do it first, because what I do want is to belong to that group of very, very successful people. So I know what the membership is. And every time I don't want to do something, I think, I don't want to do it, but what I do want is to belong to that group, so I'm doing it first. And it's a great way of thinking, because it starts to move you around wanting to do it for all the right reasons. Many, many years ago, I met someone who wanted to be a rock star. That was his ambition. He actually particularly wanted to be a drummer. And he was a very young married man with 2 children to support. And he was going for a lot of auditions, and of course all the auditions take place during the day, and every time he had a job they wouldn't let him take time off. So he decided he would have to work nights in order to audition during the day, and the only job he could get was a job he hated. He was a taxi driver and he hated it, but he did it, but he just wasn't making enough money. So he thought, okay, I'll have to work in McDonald's. I get more money, I can work nights, I'm free to audition. And about a month before he'd applied to work in McDonald's, he'd been for an audition to be a drummer in a band. He didn't even know who the band was. And the day he was due to start working in McDonald's, which he absolutely hated even the thought of, he got a call to go, you know, that band you auditioned for is actually Simple Minds, and now you're the drummer in Simple Minds. So he never worked in McDonald's or drove a cab again for the rest of his life. But when he told people that story, they'd all go, oh, I would never work in McDonald's. Oh my God, I'd never degrade myself by driving a cab around London. And I'm like, don't you think you're missing the point? His ability to do what he hated is what made him a rock star, because he had to have his days free to rehearse and audition. But if he had your mindset, I'd never do that, he would never be a multi-millionaire rock star. It was because he was fully prepared to do what he hated, to swallow his pride, to keep his vision in mind. I want to be a rock star. I must be free for auditions. How can I do that? Well, I have to work as a cab driver and in a fast food restaurant, which I hate, but I'm going to do it because it's going to take me to my goal. And it did. But the people who laughed at him and said, I wouldn't do that, none of them are rock star. Secondly, we have this belief that our brain's job is to make us happy. Oh no. Your brain's job is to make you survive. It doesn't care if you're happy, it cares if you survive. So when you say, my job is killing me, this commute is stressing me out, I'm dying under the paperwork, it wants you to stop. And so because your brain's job is to move you towards pleasure, you've got to say, I love working weekends, even if it's not true. I love going to the gym. I'm so lucky I've got a baby that wakes me up at 3 a.m. I know it sounds really Pollyanna, but you can trick your mind all the time going, I love it, I want it, I like it. And that's what Olympic athletes do when they're training, when they're getting up at 3 a.m. to run. They don't go, oh, this is great. But they also don't go, oh my God, I hate it. They go, yeah, this is going to make me an Olympic athlete, because they understand the mind's need to move you towards pleasure and away from pain. And if you link pain to something, your mind will make you give it up really quickly. And people who fail give up their dreams because they link pain to them. But people who succeed meet their dreams. So they go, yeah, I want to work all weekend. I'm building a business. I want to work nights writing this book because I'm going to write a book. You can choose what to link pain and pleasure to. In fact, you can choose anything you like. But you know what you can't choose? What happens when you say things like, I hate my job, I hate my boss, my in-laws are killing me, this kid is driving me crazy. Sure, you can choose to say that, but you can't choose what happens when you are very negative. Doesn't matter how talented you are, if you don't have self-belief, you're not going to get anywhere. If you have extraordinary self-belief, very little talent, you can get everywhere. But if you have both, if you have talent and belief, it will actually make you unstoppable. Now, I work with a lot of football teams and a lot of football players, and a lot of those footballers come out of school at 14. They know they're going to be famous players. They don't really pursue an education. A lot of them have an extraordinary negative self-belief because they're only good at sport, which is a great shame. And one of my players at the moment has now become a fantastic commentator, but I do a lot of work with him to put in him that belief, because he wasn't great at spelling and he wasn't great at school because he knew he was going to be a footballer. So belief without talent will take you far further than talent without belief. But if you have both, you can go far. But everyone can learn self-belief.
You mentioned something about leaning into the feelings until you no longer need to feel them, or until they go away.
Feel the feeling until it no longer requires to be felt.
Why should we do that? So give me an example of a feeling.
So let's imagine you and your ex-wife are not getting on, and you have a feeling of rage about the fact that she's trying to get your kid to call the new guy daddy and she's blocking you out, and you feel so angry. You think, well, I mustn't feel angry, you know, she's doing it for the interest of my kid, and so I just drink the anger, and I drink the anger. And you see, with a feeling, it's the most real thing you have. A feeling is like a little kid in a class going, notice me, I'm over here, and if you don't, they get more and more out of control. And so when you don't acknowledge your feelings, they regroup, and they regroup until they become outrage, rage coming out. And then suddenly they go a bit crazy in the car park of a store or the line of a store, because the mind says, I've got all this rage, wants to come out. Someone just cut into the line, take it out on them. And it's so ineffective, because I have something I call AAA, which is be aware of your feeling. Most people have no idea what they feel. They go, I shouldn't feel jealous. I shouldn't feel envious. I shouldn't be furious with this kid who's keeping me up all night. So they're not aware of it. They certainly can't accept it, and they never get to articulate it. If you can say, you know, my wife's a good person, but actually I'm furious with what she's doing. It really hurts my feelings. That's why group therapy in places like AA, the good thing is you get to say, sometimes I could quite cheerfully hurt my wife. I'm not going to, but I feel like it. Oh yeah, I feel like that too. Because when you can express your feeling, it goes away. It goes away immediately.
But when you communicate it,
even to yourself. So if your mother-in-law is the absolute bitch from hell, and you can't say, by the way, Dorothy, you are the most horrible mother-in-law in the world, but you just go and shut yourself in the bathroom, turn on the taps, flush the toilet, and say, Dorothy is a really unpleasant mother-in-law. And one of my...
You feel better.
Yeah, you feel so much better because you're not saying it to them. It's like feelings are like gas. They're in or they're out, and they hurt much more when you keep them in. And you want to let them out. Maybe gas, I mean, obviously right in the middle of a meeting, but when you keep stuff in, it causes you pain.
Also, if you want to build more confidence, the science says it can take up to 254 days of consecutive action to successfully build a habit. So I've created a free program for you where every day for 254 days, I will send you an unlisted video to your email, absolutely free, to help you build your confidence. The link to join is in the description below.
Successful people do what they hate to get to where they want to be. Doesn't matter how talented you are, if you don't have self-belief, you're not going to get anywhere. Here's something that will change your life if you make it familiar. Praise yourself. Say, I did a great job, I did a good job. You know, in the days of startup where you're running your own business, it may take 2 years before you see a profit. The only person who's going to praise you at the end of every day is you. So say, I did a great job, did a really good job today. I love what I'm doing, I'm good at it. Make praise familiar. everyone's good at something. You know, you're not meant to be good at everything. It's no good being a jack of all trades and a master of none. So be really good at what you're good at, and don't worry about what you're not good at, because we're not all supposed to be good at the same thing. Find your talent, you know, find out what you love to do. What you're meant to do lies directly behind and is absolutely linked to what you love to do. When I was a kid, actually, I loved writing little stories and illustrating them, and it's funny that now I am a very successful writer, because I was always writing when I was a kid, but I never considered that as a career, but it kind of found me later. My daughter was always drawing and always, in fact, she went to college to be a criminologist and then gave that up and became an artist, because it's what she was meant to do. So find out what you love and be brilliant at it. You can't do that. You'll mess it up. You'll never get it right. You're just not good at that. I want you to change that voice to a cheerleader, a parent who dotes on you, a teacher who thinks you are the best thing in the world. And I want you to hear that voice saying, yay, you can do it. You're amazing. This is your area of excellence. You're good at this. You know, if you were a kid running a race at school, you'd want your parent to be there going, come on, you're brilliant, you're amazing. If you were doing an assignment at school, you want the teacher or your parent to go, you're very smart. You're really good at writing. This is your skill set. So I want you to become a loving parent to yourself, a praising teacher, a cheerleader that always goes, yes, you can do this. This is easy for you. This is a walk in the park. Or you have the skills, the talent. You've read that book. You know the answers. You've studied. So that's how you stop being your own worst critic. Flip it over. And if you're saying, I always mess it up, start to go, I get it right. I always forget things. I've got a great memory. That's the most important one. The other thing very successful people do is that they just don't take no for an answer. They get rejected. Everyone gets rejected, but they come back. They do not take no for an answer. And you know, I remember working with Luther Vandross on one of my shows, and fortunately he's died now. And he said, you know, people call me an overnight success. Richard Gere said exactly the same thing. Did you know that overnight success? He said, it took me 12 years singing jingles for Kentucky Fried Chicken before I got a record deal. There is no overnight success. They get rejected, but they come back over and over and over again. Self-esteem means how much you like yourself. But when you like yourself, you also like other people too. You can't like yourself and not like other people. So a lot of violence and aggression would end if we could just learn how to like ourselves and other people rather than feel dissatisfied with ourselves, which means, of course, you're dissatisfied with someone else. Because if you don't like yourself and you feel dissatisfied, you want everyone around you to be like that too, and then you feel a bit better because you're in the same company. If you don't feel very good and everyone around you is happy, then what people do is they tend to try and diminish everyone else or elevate themselves. But you can't elevate yourself if you don't like yourself. So a lot of the issues we have in schools, the violence, the truanting, the not achieving, could be cut in half if you just taught children to really like themselves and to have self-esteem. When you focus on the worst possible outcome, you actually feel as if you are in that worst possible outcome. The only way to overcome a fear is, instead of focusing on the worst possible outcome, to focus on the best possible outcome. I'm driving. It's foggy, it's dark, it's icy, I might skid off the road and kill myself. Or I'm driving very carefully, I'm driving very slowly, I'm driving very cautiously because I'm going to be safe and I'm going to get home. See, that's the difference. You just have to give yourself different beliefs. The thing with fear always is you have two choices. Rationalize why you feel so terrible, or talk yourself out of it. And I was on the beach with my daughter and there was a big dog, and it was quite a scary dog, and she didn't like this dog. And I said to her, you know, darling, when you don't like a dog, you get very scared, and the dog doesn't like it either, and he gets scared. So when you see a scary dog, turn your back to it. Don't look at it, because when you look at it, you're challenging it. And that's hard to do, to turn your back on a dog. But if you turn your back, it's not a challenge. And she understood that, and I was always teaching her, when you have a fear, you have a choice. Oh my God, that dog's going to bite me, attack me, hurt me. Or I'm going to talk myself out, I'm going to turn away, I'm going to breathe, I'm going to be really calm, and that dog's just going to go on its way. And it's the same with everything in life to do with fear. Rationalize why you feel so fearful, or talk yourself out of it. I'll be fine. This is okay. Everything's going to work out perfectly. I'm okay. All of these fears hold you back, and they don't have to, because every fear you go through teaches you something. You see, if you go to a fun fair and go to those loop-the-loop rides, you can scream in terror or you can scream in excitement. And the fact that people put themselves through those rides means that at some level we quite like fear. It challenges us to do more. It challenges us to grow more. So don't fear fear. Remember, the only fear to fear is fear itself. I don't do no. I refuse to take no for an answer. So if I'm told no, you know, when I was told you can't have a baby or you'll never be able to do that, I don't let that in, which I find very useful. I do let in criticism, but only if it's useful. And so I'd say that's probably my best attitude. I just won't take no for an answer. And I was studying once celebrities, because I work with a lot of them. And I mean, I don't put myself in that category, but what I found out was that celebrities don't take no for an answer. They're very interesting. They simply refuse to do no. And if you say to them, okay, we're having a party, everyone's coming wearing white, they'll turn up in green, because they want to be a little bit different. But they don't see it as a handicap, they see it as an asset. And it's a great thing to not take no for an answer. You know, we used to live in walled cities, and our strength came from numbers. We were in a group, and with numbers we survived. Now you can live in an apartment, you can have cats and dogs, you can have your grocery delivery, you can never see anyone, and you could live till you're 110. But we still feel this feeling, I'll die if you reject me. No, you won't. You'll get stronger. But you know, for women especially, if you went back 500 years ago, you're a hunter-gatherer, and your guy died out spearing a wildebeest, you would die. Who's going to raise your children? Who's going to feed you? So in our evolutionary psychology, we have this fear, I'll die if you don't like me. And we try to get over it by buying stuff and going to the gym and having our hair done or getting a nicer car, or trying to impress people. And what you should do is impress upon your mind, look, I know you think I'm going to die from rejection. I'm not. Actually, it's going to make me stronger. And if you can dialogue with yourself and go, okay, I've just been dumped. I feel a bit sad. It's not going to kill me. That was a starter relationship. The next one is going to be way better. Then it does make you stronger. The third thing you must do to really feel great about yourself all the time and to radiate confidence, that real inner confidence, is to learn not to let in destructive criticism. Now, you can't stop people criticizing, but you cannot let it in. Years and years and years ago, when I was getting engaged to my boyfriend, my boss actually said to me, when I said, I need some time from getting married, she went, oh my God, your boyfriend's so good looking. How on earth have you got him to marry you? I remember thinking, wow, that's a bit hardcore. And I could have said something like, I have to handcuff him to the bed, he's so good looking. But you see, that's letting it in and having to come back. I could have said, how dare you say that to me? So I just said to her, it's called love, we love each other. And I didn't let it in because I thought, wow, she must be a really unhappy person to do that. But much, much later, it's obviously a different boyfriend, someone said to me, God, your boyfriend is so unattractive. You could do so much better. Why are you with him? And I went, that's what an amazing guy he is. Because I've never even seen that. I just think he's incredible. And my daughter said to me, Mummy, he's really ugly. And I said, yeah, I know. And I love him so much, which shows what a great guy he must be, because I just think he's gorgeous. And of course, my daughter then realized that she couldn't go anywhere with that because I didn't let it in. And so if you can learn not to let in destructive criticism, that too will change your life. Here's some things I want you to start doing today, right now, that will build your self-esteem super fast. The number one thing is to praise yourself. There is nothing that will build your self-esteem like praise, but your praise is if you have a shop assistant who says, oh, you look really great in the outfit. Yeah, it suits you, you must buy it. They have an agenda. If your boss says you're amazing at your job, but I need to give you work to do over the weekend, they have an agenda. Someone dating you might have an agenda, and your mind knows that. But when you say, I'm great at my job, I'm smart, I'm kind, I'm nice, people like me. There is no agenda. Unfortunately, when you go, I'm rubbish at my job, I'm boring, I always mess up and I have no friends, your mind lets that into you, because your mind doesn't really care if what you say is right or wrong, good or bad, healthy or unhealthy. And let me prove that to you. I want you to put your hand in front of your face like that. I want you to close your eyes. I want you to imagine you have a big, fat, juicy lemon. And I want you to breathe in that wonderful lemon smell and just squeeze it a bit and feel that wonderful lemon texture, because nothing quite smells like a lemon. So still really believing you have half a lemon in your hand, open your mouth, shove that lemon in there, cram that half a lemon into your mouth and start chewing and sucking and biting and swallowing the flesh. Keep sucking all that lemon flesh into your mouth. Bite it, chew it, suck out the juice. And you will notice that what is happening is your body is responding to a thought as if it's a fact. Your body is responding to the image and thought of eating a lemon as if you are actually eating a lemon, and it's making a saliva, because thoughts are things. And every thought you have has a physical reaction in your body and an emotional response to. When you think, I don't have friends, I can't talk to people, I can't take things back to a store, I can't ask for special treatment, I don't know how to talk to people, then your mind accepts that as a fact, just like the lemon. But when you say, oh, I can talk to anyone, I'm an interesting person, I'm warm and friendly, people like me, and I can make eye contact, I'm good at my job, I can ask someone out on a date, I can tell the person I'm involved with what I need, your mind accepts that too. And someone recently said they keep a lemon on their desk now and look at it every day. I'm sure they change it every month, because that lemon reminds them every day that they are responsible for what they think and feel. And you know, responsibility, that word means an ability to respond. So I want you to start to praise yourself. I want you to wake up in the morning, the first thing you go is, I like myself. We like people who say, I've got something to offer the world. And people are very reassured by confidence. You know, we're all scared that we're going to come across as arrogant. But if you're on a flight and you hit turbulence, you want a confident pilot. If you're sick, wouldn't you like a really confident doctor to go, oh, I'm the best doctor in New York, I'm going to make you better. You don't want to go, well, I don't want to brag, you know, I'm sort of okay sometimes, but, you know, he's better than me. We don't want our kids' teacher to go, well, I'm not the best, you know, I have good days. We want them to go, I'm the best teacher, and I'm going to give you back your kid in a year's time, radiating confidence and talent. You know, we pay for that, and yet we're so scared of saying, I've got a gift, I've got a skill, this is what I'm good at.
People think the brain's really complicated. It's not. It's actually quite simple. You only need to know 3 things about your brain to always get what you want. And the first thing is, your brain does exactly what it thinks you want it to do, because it listens to everything you say. So when you say things like, oh God, you know, I got dumped, it was so painful, I never want to go through that again, all your mind can pick up is you don't want to be in a relationship again. When people have a miscarriage and go, I could never go through that again, I'd rather die than go through that again, your mind is picking up, oh right, well that's a statement, that's actually a command to me to make sure you never go through a miscarriage again, and that's how you get unexplained infertility, which is something else I've been working on a lot recently. Because the mind listens to what you say. So people go, oh, I went on this flight, I thought I was going to die. And do it, they'll go, I'm never getting on a plane. If this plane lands, I will never, ever get on a plane again. And of course it lands, they go, oh, it was just turbulence. But next time they go to the airport, they have a massive panic attack, because your mind's like, hang on a minute, you said I never want to fly again. And so if you haven't got what you want, it's because you're giving your mind very confusing messages. Your mind's number one job is to listen to what you say and to act on it. Its second job is to move you towards pleasure and away from pain. And it will always, always, always do more to avoid pain. So let's imagine you've gone for an interview, you've done a public speech thing like me, and you've stood up and you've gone, and you think, oh my God, I'm never doing this again. And you'd have a terrible presentation. And one of my clients who worked for Sony was saying that she had to stand up and just say to Sony, this is a new band from Camden. And she stood up and went, this is a new band from, and they're called, she said, I couldn't do it. It was the simplest thing. And my boss had to take over. And I was explaining to her that when you do that and go, oh my God, I don't want to do it. I don't want to do this again. Your mind is now going to make sure you don't do it again. So the next time you go to speak, it will give you a panic attack. It will make you ill. And if you say to yourself, oh my God, I'd love a week off in bed, or I'm dreading next Wednesday, your mind is so in tune with you that your week off in bed, you wake up with the flu and your mind's like, there you go. How cool am I? There's your week in bed. You don't want to go to that speech? I've woken you up with diarrhea, so now you can't go. That's what the mind does. When I was giving my first ever presentation about my first ever book, I woke up with the most excruciating migraine I've ever had one before. I thought, wow, I must have been saying to myself somewhere, I don't want to do this because I've got this migraine. And I actually went and did it, and I didn't have the migraine until I stepped back off the stage again. And I realized that I was communicating very badly with myself. So you must never say nervous, say excited, because your mind listens. So those three things are, your mind does what it really thinks you want to do. If you're very, very specific and say, I want this and this, I want to be a great speaker, I want to deliver things, I want to be fantastic at sales, I want to be able to look people in the eye and sell them things and come across as really authentic, your mind will understand. And if you make those pictures really good and pleasant, you'll move towards them.
When there is a battle between logic and emotion, emotion always wins. How many of you have gone to a really high building, an enclosed building like the top story of a hotel or the CN Tower in Toronto, and looked down and thought, oh, wow, I feel really scared. My logic mind knows that I'm safe, that the glass is that thick, that I can't fall, but the emotion that's making my stomach lurch is winning. So when you have a battle between emotion and logic, emotion always wins. Here's something you all know. We can all ring our friend up and go, I'm a bit bored, a bit lonely. Can I hang out? Or I'm a bit bored, let's go to the movie. You would never ring someone you've just met and go, I'm bored and lonely. Will you come and hang out with me? Let's go to the movie. Because the emotion that you might be rejected will overrule the logic that says this person may be the person for me. So if you're having a battle between yourself, here's a great one. I know I shouldn't eat cake. That's the logic. But the emotion is, oh, the cake feels so good, and this creamy, sugary stuff reminds me of being a baby when all my needs were met by having creamy, sugary stuff. So in a battle between emotion and logic, logic will never win. Emotion will always win. And you can make that win for you by making it a better emotion. So here's how to do it. Here's an emotion. I'm scared to ask for a pay rise in case my boss laughs me out of the office. Make it a stronger emotion. If I go to my boss and show them what I've done, how valuable I am, that won't happen. Here's an emotion. I really want to ask that person on a date. I'm not good enough. Change the emotion. I'm wonderful. I'm amazing. What could I get from asking someone on a date that says yes? So much. And if they say no, I'm only exactly where I was before, except I've been brave. I've done something courageous. I've taken action. Even if it doesn't work out, I've lost nothing, but I've gained courage. So when you're having a battle between logic and emotion, emotion always wins. Logic never wins. That's why you could stand on the windowsill of your apartment if it was on the ground floor, but you would never stand on the windowsill same size if it was 100 stories up, because the emotion that you may fall will defeat the logic that says, I can do this when it's a few feet off the ground. Why can't I do it up here? Because emotion overrules logic. You can make your life phenomenal, extraordinary, and wonderful by always using emotion to defeat emotion. Every baby on the world is born loaded with self-esteem. No baby when they're being pushed down the street in their stroller, goes, oh, don't look at me, I'm having a bad hair day, or I've just been sick on my little romper suit, or I've got really fat legs. Baby's first experience on the planet is being looked at. When you're born, the doctor, the nurse, the midwife look at you. Family come to visit you. You get your picture taken, people show you off, and babies don't avert their eyes when you take their picture. When I used to push my little girl down the street, people would look in her pram and go, oh my God, she's so gorgeous. She never looked away. She kicked her little legs. She gave a big gummy smile because she knew that she was gorgeous too. And if you ever doubt that children like attention, go to a park, go to a swimming pool, and you hear every child going, Mummy, Mummy, look at me on the swing. Daddy, watch me on the slide. Mummy, Mummy, watch me jump in the water, watch me swim, watch me jump. Because children have this belief that I'm worthy of attention, and I like it, and I can ask for it, and I'll get it. And then you have to ask, well, where does that go? Well, it goes very fast. You know, if I said to my little girl at 2, sing me, Mummy, a song, she would sing. If I said to her at 14, sing me a song, she'd roll her eyes and go, oh my God, you're so embarrassing, and walk out of the room. Because at a very early age, we acquire a fear of being judged. It's what is called performance anxiety. What if I sing and someone laughs at me? What if I read in class and I get it wrong? What if I stand up to speak and I don't know what to say? And performance anxiety can be so intense that it makes us stop performing. But people who perform really well like themselves. They go, well, I'll see what happens, and I'll sing, I'll dance, I'll act. I mean, some people can't even dance at a party in case everyone's looking at them and judging them badly. Some of my clients won't even go to yoga in case they can't hold the poses like everyone else. And believe me, we're all so busy worrying about ourselves. We don't have time to look at you and comment on your yoga position or how you're dancing at a party. And we kind of like people who don't care, who just let go and have a good time. So the thing you need to have phenomenal confidence really are 2 things. Stop judging yourself and be nice to yourself. The very successful people, if they have to fire someone, if they have to make a very uncomfortable phone call, they will do it first. And what's interesting is that they naturally do that. They would say things like, well, you know, I've got to end a partnership with my best friend, or I've got to fire someone I really care about. I couldn't possibly have that hanging over my head all day. I need to do it first, and then it's done, and then I feel better. People who are not in that group will go, oh God, I've got to fire like my friend. I'll do that at 6 o'clock. I'll wait till the end of that. I'll do that after lunch. Or I've got to go and do a grueling workout. I'll do that at 5 o'clock. But of course, 5 o'clock comes and you have a phone call to make, or you've just had lunch, and then you don't get to do it. Even in school, I mean, one of my clients who was very successful said, yeah, when we had to, you know, read out an essay, I never understood the kids who went last. I put my hand up and went, I'll read the essay first because I want it done. So they do it naturally, but that doesn't matter, because of course the wonderful thing is that when you do what you hate first enough times, it starts to become natural. Like, I've got to do my taxes, I'll do that first thing. I've got to confront someone, I'll do it first. And so I still, to this day, wake up and think, oh, I don't really want to do that, so I'm going to do it first, because what I do want is to belong to that group of very, very successful people. So I know what the membership is. And every time I don't want to do something, I think, I don't want to do it, but what I do want is to belong to that group, so I'm doing it first. And it's a great way of thinking, because it starts to move you around wanting to do it for all the right reasons. I always say to all my clients, there's only 3 things wrong with everyone. Everyone has got 3 things wrong. The number 1 is I'm not enough. The second one is I'm different, so I can't connect. And the third is I really want something like freedom from depression or success, but it's not available. But I'm not enough is the biggest. I mean, I've worked with hundreds of thousands of addicts. I've never found one ever that ever believed they're enough. And if we look at the key addictions, shopping, binging on food, binging on alcohol, binging on drugs, sex especially, food, porn, all of those things come from a feeling of emptiness inside, because we're taught, oh, you feel a feeling? why don't you eat some donuts, or go onto eBay and buy, or Amazon, or buy something, or have a drink. And our feelings are the most real thing we have, and we push them down. We find all this stuff to buy or eat or drink or take to keep us, like John Lennon said, comfortably numb. But then the feelings regroup and come back because they've always got a job to do. And I always say to my clients, look, you've got to feel the feeling until it no longer requires to be felt. You can't eat it or drink it or shop it away, but we're all taught that we can and should. So I'm not enough is the biggest problem I see. You have to understand a bit more of psychology because humans are hardwired to recreate what they know. We like what's familiar, even if it's very bad. If I've never had money and I win the lottery, I'm going to get rid of it. Or if I've never had love and you love me, I'm going to reject you because it's so unfamiliar. If I've had a dad who calls me an idiot and worthless, guess what kind of guy I like? That's it. Because when I meet them, I go, oh, I feel like I've known this guy my whole life. We just clicked. And then you think, oh my God, it's because he's my dad. But now I've been sleeping with him for 6 months. I don't know what to do with that now. Because we are wired to like what is familiar and to resist what's unfamiliar. And that's what kept us alive. When we lived in walled cities, we didn't go, I'm a bit bored with this group. I think I'll go outside the walled city and find another tribe because they might have killed you. So we have this wiring that says, run towards what's familiar and run away from what's unfamiliar. But the very good news is you can make anything familiar. And the most important thing to make familiar is praising yourself. That's, if you could just do that, that in itself would change your entire life.
How do you praise yourself?
Well, you get up in the morning and go, I'm a good person. I have a skill. I have a talent. I have something to offer the world. I'm here for a reason. You look in the mirror and go, oh, there you are. You're a good person. You've got a good heart. You know, the most important way to answer that question is this. What did you always want your dad to tell you, even if you never had a dad? If you had a dad, a good dad, what would he have said? What would your mum have said? What would a nice teacher have said to you? And it would be something like this. I'm proud of you. You're a good son. I'm so glad I'm your dad. How lucky I got to have you. And a teacher would say, you're such a smart kid. What a joy it is to teach you because you're smart. And we all want to hear the same stuff. I love you. I'm proud of you. You're interesting. You're a great company. Nobody needs to hear I'm the best dentist in Beverly Hills because that doesn't work. It's emotions. And many of my clients, their mother might be dead, but they're still trying to get her to approve of them. Dad's living in another country, but they're still working to make him like them. And, you know, the most important thing is you like you. So whatever you wanted to hear, say it to yourself, because your mind doesn't even know that it's coming. And also it doesn't care. Your mind doesn't care if what you tell it is right or wrong, or true or false, or even if it's good or bad, it lets it in like chapstick on your lips. Your lips don't go, is this organic, fair trade? Just lets it in. It needs a bit of nourishment. And we need some nourishment, and words are very nourishing. And there is actually nothing on the planet that will raise your self-esteem like praise. But self-praise is better. Because if I said to you, I just adore you, you're amazing. By the way, you know, can you do this and this and this? I've manipulated you. But if I say it to myself, my mind knows there's no manipulation, and the mind likes repetition. And when you say it every day, your mind kind of goes, oh yeah, here you go again with that praise. You say it every day, must be true, and now it sinks in. The problem is if you criticize yourself every day, it says the same thing. That sinks in as well. In my experience, people who try to be perfect are the unhappiest people in the world, and they're almost always the loneliest too. When you try to be perfect, you have entered a race that you can't win. You can't even complete it. There is no finishing line. The finishing line keeps moving. So when you're in a race to be thinner, happier, richer, more successful, you can't complete that race. You can't win it. And instead of thinking, oh, I'm reaching my goals, you feel intense dissatisfaction. Here's the truth. The way you feel about everything is down to the pictures you make in your head and the words you say to yourself. And guess what is so great? you can change those pictures anytime. You can change those words. Every thought you think, every word you say becomes a blueprint that your mind, body, and psyche use everything at their disposal to make real. Thoughts are things. What you speak and think and say without realizing your mind is working so hard to make that your reality, even if it's super negative. You know, I see parents all the time who say things like, I'll be happy when my kid sleeps through the night. I'll be happy when my kid's out of diapers. I'll be happy when my kid is walking, feeding themselves, going to school. And they spend their whole child's life looking at the next bit to be happy, when you should be thinking, wow, I wish every stage took 3 times as long. You waste your amazing life wishing it away for the next bit. Because happiness is not a destination you arrive at. It's the journey you're on. It's an inside job. Do not farm out, I'll be happy when, because there is no terminal to get to called happiness. Happiness is the journey you're on now. Perfectionists come in all shapes and sizes, and they're often very good at hiding their inner drive to be perfect. And there's one thing that drives them all, an inner belief that says, I'm not enough. I'm less than. If I'm less than and I can come across as perfect, I'll be more than. You know, my neighbors always say to me, wow, you have so many famous clients. Are they damaged by fame? I'm like, no, actually no. Damaged people are attracted to fame. They have a belief I'm so damaged, but if I'm famous, rich, gorgeous, amazing, I'll be perfect. But you see what happens when damaged people try to be perfect. It actually damages them more. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to be flawless. You don't need to be infallible. You just need to be enough. And when you let the fact in that you are enough, instead of trying so hard to be perfect, which you can never achieve, when you let in being enough, changes your life. So let it in that you're enough right now, because that's the truth about you.
What is it about hypnotism that makes it work? Is it that people, the things that are f***ing them up are like buried deep in the subconscious? Like, why hypnotism? Why was that the radical breakthrough?
Hypnosis is the actual grandfather of even psychotherapy. People think hypnotherapy is the poor relative and it's come along, and it's actually in front of everything. A lot of hypnotherapists don't understand what hypnotherapy really means. And what it means is, you can shut down the critical part of your mind that goes, oh, I could never speak in public. Oh, I could never live without donuts. That bit shuts down. And while it shuts down, you can excite the imagination and tell people stuff they simply don't think they could do. So I'll give you an example. I was recently having a medical procedure, and the nurse said, oh my God, we all know you. And we have this kid and he can't go in the scanner. He's terrified. And I said, oh, I'll show you what to do. And in 5 minutes, he was loving being in that scanner. Because I taught him, listen, it's how you talk to yourself. If you go, I feel like I'm in a coffin here and I'm ill and now I'm in the scanner and it's reminding me that I could die. And why would you talk to yourself like that? What you say is, I love this. This is amazing. I've got half an hour to chill out. And so people don't understand that what makes hypnosis powerful is powerful words. But they got to be super powerful, really dynamic, incredibly relevant, and absolutely up to date. And if you combine that powerful language with shutting down the critical part that goes, you could never do that. Who's going to want you? You've got 4 kids and cellulite. If you shut that bit down and then add in exciting, you can have anything you want. But most people either don't understand about shutting the bit down, or they don't understand the language. So without diminishing other therapists, I see a lot of people who say things like, now, you might just want to think about being calm. It's like, what? WTF? That's not exciting. Or they say things like, today you're going to find it easier not to eat cake. And I'm like, come on, we can do way better than that. Excite the imagination. Tell people you love saying no to cake. It thrills you to pick an apple. It elates you to see the scales going down and your six-pack emerging, because you are motivated and committed and compelled to say no to sugar. And if you understand the mind, it does what you tell it. That's its job. And if you tell it better stuff, you have an amazing life. And if you tell it mediocre stuff, you have a mediocre life. Whenever anyone does anything wrong, we go, what's wrong with you? We should say, what happened to you? What happened to you? And they'll go, well, my mom always said she didn't want a boy, she wanted a girl, and I've been brought up. I'll give you an example. I had a city trader as a client who really had problems trading. And his boss said, he's the best trader, but he's so nervous. And when I worked with him, he was saying that when he was a kid, his parents had 2 girls and then him. And he would smash his Tonka toys and they go, what's wrong with you? Look at your sisters just combing their doll's hair and they're so good, and why are you so aggressive? And a 4-year-old can't go, well, because I have something called testosterone,
right.
And they don't. And I'm designed to run and jump and hunt and fish, and I got to learn what to do with aggression. Smashing my cars together is good for me. A 4-year-old doesn't have anything because they live in the world of they just live in a world of feeling, not logic. And he said, I never realized, I spent my whole life thinking something's wrong with me because my parents would say everything conversation, what's wrong with you? Look how neat you says they don't get peas on the floor when they eat. And he said, I heard it every day until I formed a belief something's wrong with me. He didn't date women because he thought, well, I should be like one, but I want to be like a man. And that session totally turned him around. He said it was like someone had sprayed him with pheromones because he went out that night and women were attaching themselves to him like a magnet. But he just got rid of the feeling of something's wrong with me. Because most people do walk around going, something's wrong with me, I'm just majorly messed up. And you can't heal.
And no one understands me, no one gets me.
And I don't understand me. And if I don't understand me, how can you?
And why should I even be here?
Yeah, because you can't heal what you can't understand. And so all the treating the symptom is like putting a Band-Aid on an infection. It doesn't, when you understand it, you can totally change your perception of what it is, because events actually don't affect you, but the meaning you attach to them does.
The story we tell ourselves about
the story. I don't like wish. Wishing says to your mind, you haven't got a prayer, but you might as well wish. Because wishing just says, you're not going to do that. Oh, I wish. No one says, I wish I could get up in the morning and clean my teeth. I wish I could pick up that pencil and write a note. You don't say wish, you go, I'm doing it. So when you say to the mind, I wish I could, it says, yeah, me too. Get over it. When you say to the mind, I hope I get this right, it goes, yeah, well, keep hoping because you're not going to do that. When you go, if only, your mind goes, well, you never managed it before, so keep on with your if only, why don't you? People have a story, I can't find love because my dad left when I was 1. I can't find love because my mum preferred my brother. I can't be a success because I never went to university. I can't speak in public because I blush. And without understanding, when you describe why you can't, you keep it going. If you keep talking about the symptom, your mind keeps it alive because whatever you focus on, you get more of. And so a lot of people have language that's completely irrelevant. Like, yes, I know your dad left when you was 1. I know your mother put you up into foster care and didn't love you, but that's then. This is now. And so they have outdated stories, outdated language. I can't do that because... the classic one I held up, oh my God, my boyfriend just ripped out my heart, stamped all over it, killed me, and if I find love again, it will kill me. I'm like, darling, he got bored, and you would have got bored too if you'd stuck around. And that was your starter relationship. Go and find a better one with someone amazing. Everything he loved in you, you didn't take it home with him, it's still there. So don't use that irrelevant, I found love and it killed me when it ended. So I found love, the wrong person, but I'm going to find it again with the right person. It's going to be amazing and compelling. He's going to fall in love with my soul. We're going to be together forever. Because you got to turn your mind on, and it loves exciting words, dramatic words. Really loves words that make a picture. So if I said to you, you can be the most phenomenal, powerful, awesome, incredible speaker. When you speak on stage, everyone stops to listen. You could hear a pin drop. They look at you. They hear what you're saying. They like you. The mind goes, oh, I like this. I know where I'm going here. But when you go, I'm not bad at speaking. Sometimes I'm quite good. Occasionally, I really get it right. The mind goes, what are you talking about? That's not dramatic enough for me. And all psychiatrists will tell you that and if you want to be sorted out, here's something you must do. Express your hurt as close to the event that hurt you happening as possible. You can't say to your dad, 20 years I asked for a bike and you got me a skateboard. I didn't want that. They go, what? I worked nights to buy you that bike. You can't get any resolution after 10 years or 20 years. Yeah. But when you can say to your friend, look, I love you, you're my friend, but it really hurt me when you didn't even turn up to my wedding and I still had to pay for all of that and you didn't call and it hurt me. I still love you, but you hurt my feelings. Then it's gone. But when you keep it in, it doesn't. When you say to the friend, you make me feel so angry, well, you make me feel angry. I didn't come to your wedding because your guest list, that was extortionate, asking for all this stuff. I mean, I'm not Bank of America, and I didn't want to buy that stuff. But you can't get resolution. Yeah. But when you say, I was hurt when, or I felt hurt by, and you can say it to a wall, you can say it to a faucet, you can say it to a mirror.
You can write it down.
It's not for the other person. It's good to say it because it's out then. And then it goes away. It's the most wonderful thing. It goes away. And then everything is so different.
Yeah.
And one of the rules of the mind, and it's the best rule, is that every thought you think and every word you say forms a blueprint, and your mind must work to make that blueprint real. So when you say, I can't remember anything, I'd lose the eyes in the back of my head if they weren't fixed in there, because I just can't remember anything. Your mind goes, that's a blueprint. Let me take you to it. And when you say, my memory is phenomenal, foolproof. In fact, I'm like human Google. When I read an exam, the minute I read the question, my mind has already gone to work, found the answer, and it stays in my head right through until I write it on the paper. Then I read the next question. The same thing happens as I read the question. Google says, here's the answer. I work with children all the time with exam stress, and they come in. I was a little boy last year who had, I think there were 17 children applied for every place in his school. And he flunked the mocks. And I'm like, darling, you're supposed to flunk the mocks. It's great to flunk the mocks. You know what mocks are, don't you? Oh, so in England, when you're taking an exam, you have a mock exam, maybe 6 weeks before you take the exam, just to see how you do. And then they say, well, you did terribly, you did really well. And because you did really well, you're going to pass that exam. And because you did terribly, you're going to fail. In fact, the ones who do well in the mocks get so complacent, they often don't do so well in the actual exam. And the ones who do badly think, wow, I need to up my game. I need to revise more and study more. So when he came in and said, my mummy was so upset because I got really bad marks in the mocks, I went, that's fantastic. What were you worse on? He said that the writing, what did you do? So I didn't read the instructions correctly and I didn't use the right words. I went, that's fantastic. And so I said, that's fantastic. So what did you need to do? And just by changing his language, I didn't use the right words, and explained to him that he could do it, and telling him that his mind was like Google. Then I was asking him some questions about Harry Potter. And I said, how do you know these answers? Have you studied Harry Potter? He went, no, I just really like it. I said, well, see how clever your mind is. So when you're working with a kid that says, I don't know, ask them about James Bond. Ask them about something that they like and go, how do you know this? They go, I don't know. How do you know? Wow, you're so smart. Because when they like something, they remember. And part of school is liking something. So with this little kid, he got into that school. I knew he'd get in because he came in like that and he left like that. He was like, I'm going to nail this. I know what to do. My mind is like Google. And I will say to all my clients, whether they're a 7-year-old taking an exam or someone taking a medical exam or the bar, I say, whatever you're reading, your focus narrows down. You say the word narrow down, and when you say narrow down, everything fades away. You're absorbed in that paper. You have phenomenal powers of concentration, comprehension, recall, retention, and assimilation. And I say words that help you do the next one. Comprehension, comprehension, retention, recall, assimilation. I say it over and over again because the mind believes what you tell it. There's certain rules of your mind that I like to operate from, and one is the mind learns by repetition. So nobody would go to the gym and go, I've done 500 sit-ups, I should have a six-pack now. You know you've got to go back and do them again and do them again. Once you get that six-pack, you can keep it with a little less repetition. And so it is with how we dialogue with ourselves. You know, my passion is to get schools to teach children to dialogue with themselves better. So repetition is very important, but it's not quite enough. You know, if you were a chronic alcoholic and said, right, I'm going to say every day, I don't drink, I don't drink, I don't drink, that probably won't work. First of all, the mind doesn't know what don't is. When you say I don't drink, it's like saying, I'm not thinking about chocolate. You have to think about the word that's most descriptive in the sentence. It's like saying, don't think of an orange snowman. Now you've got to think of an orange snowman, even if you've never seen one in your life. So the combination of repetition, powerful words can be more than enough. I mean, somebody wrote to me and said, my kid was lying on the floor hysterical about her exams, and I played one of your audios, and she got up and she said, I'm going to ace this. And she went to school and she did ace it. And I could tell even by the set of her chin that she knew. But for many people, they need more. They need you to go back and unpick their story. Why do you do what you do? What happened to you? Why are you an alcoholic? In understanding why, for most people, that's their aha moment. They go, oh my God, I never knew it. That's why I do that. Oh, and then you add in, and now you know you never have to do it again. You always have a choice. Your mind talks to your body all the time. That's its job. And your job is to tell your mind what you want. I want perfect health. I don't do illness. I do wellness. Everything I do is perfect. You know, I was at a conference recently. Someone wrote, oh my God, I'm so glad I listened to your audio, because you know I have 4 hours of sleep. And I tell my mind I'm having 8. And I thought, God, I should do that. I'm teaching people this. I forgot I can do that too. Tell my mind I've had 8 hours sleep. Tell my mind I feel amazing. Tell my mind when I'm working out, my body loves this. My muscles love this. I can do a bit more. Rather than go, oh, it all aches and I hate doing this, and I could be at home watching TV. So just to be very clear, your mind's job is to do what you tell it, and your job, should you choose to accept, is to tell it great things, amazing things. I'm not aging, I'm saging. I'm embodying wellness. I have perfect balance. You can choose. Not only does the mind tell the body what to do, it also interrupts the signals coming back from the body. I've got this crippling, thumping headache, can become, well, I've got a little niggle in my head, but I'm really too busy to notice it. I'm in agony. No, you've just had a little shot. That's not agony. This commute is hell. No, hell is not having a car or any gas and looking at people or taking 3 buses to do your commute. Being in this store is torture. No. When you go to Africa and you see they don't have any stores, and the ones they do have no food in them, you'll never again stand in Ralph's and go, this is a nightmare. It's hell, grocery shopping. If you have money in your wallet to buy food for people that love you, that is so far beyond hell. But people use these words. It's killing me, it's a disaster, it's a nightmare. So we have a great fear of rejection, which is not surprising, because when we're born, we have 2 drivers: find connection, avoid rejection. After all, if a mother rejects a child, if a lion rejects the cub, it's not going to be adopted, it will die. Yeah, or it just starves to death. And so we know innately that our survival on the planet is linked to not being rejected. And not that long ago, you would have died from rejection. You know, in 1,000 years ago, when they banished you outside the walls of the city, or you marooned a difficult sailor, or you cast someone out of the community, you pretty much died. There was nothing out there but purgatory. So we have a wiring that says rejection will kill me. And that's why you had the fear. But when you can dialogue with the other, go, look, no, it feels like it will kill me. It can't kill me, because no girl can reject me unless I give her my permission.
Right, give them my power.
You can't reject me unless I agree with everything. I don't like you because you got short hair. I don't like your shirt. I don't like you because you're white, not white at all, short, glasses, not. But when you say you can't reject me, I can't be rejected, because the only person you can reject me is me. You can talk to girls realizing, even if they say, no, you're not my type, I'm with someone, no thanks, or even, ooh, not no, they can only reject you if you let that in. And we look at someone like James Corden, who's certainly not gorgeous, but women love him because he's funny.
So funny.
So funny.
Love
and
that guy.
you know, we like warm people. You know, the packaging is all very nice. But lots of people have a great packaging, a great wrapper, and but they're unhappy. And so our greatest fear is to be rejected. But the truth is, in 2018, you could live in this apartment, have Amazon deliver your groceries, never see a soul, and you probably live until you're 106.
Yeah.
Wouldn't advise it, but we don't die of rejection anymore, but we still feel like we will. And all schools should be teaching kids you cannot be rejected. You can ask for a pay rise. You can ask for crowdfunding. You can go to someone and go, here's my idea. You can write a book, speak in public. Because I work with a lot of actors who say, I'm so scared of rejection. I'm like, well, how are you going to be an actor then?
Because you're supposed to be rejected
so
all the time.
You and I write books. For everyone who loves it, there's going to be the odd person who goes, I hate this book and I hate that writer too. But we don't let it in. We have to laugh about it. When you give a YouTube talk, I mean, one of my talks got like 3 million views, and there's a few in there going, I hate her, stuck-up English snob. But they don't know me, because that's not me at all. But I don't go, oh my God, I can never write another book. I'm okay because I don't let it in, because the only opinion that matters is my opinion. I know I'm not a stuck-up English snob, so that can't hurt me. You Are Enough is a movement that I started because, 33 years of being a therapist, I might work with a movie star, an Olympic athlete, or someone who's a school teacher, and they all have the same problem. And the problem is almost always I'm not enough. I mean, I've worked with so many addicts, thousands of addicts. I've never met one who ever thought they're enough. And they'll say, I drink because I'm not enough. I use because I'm not enough. I am addicted to spending because I'm not enough. What I see many therapists doing is the client comes in with a list, like what I call a shopping list. I need to stop drinking, I need to get out of bed, I need to stop shouting at my kids, I need to take care of myself. And they like to go through the list. It takes a long time. I go, forget the list. Let's look at what I call what lies beneath. You know your problem? You think you're enough. Where does that, and a baby who's ever been born because I shouldn't cry because I don't deserve attention here. I shouldn't throw up on this white top my mum just bleached. No baby is ever born believing they're not enough. And so, again, we look at where does this come from, this belief you're not enough? Who told you that? Where did you get that? And when they go, oh, yes, it came from here, it's a game changer because they start to tell them, I'm enough. People say, but if I'm enough, don't I just lie on the couch and eat potato chips all day? No. When you know you're enough, then you go, right, I need a better relationship than this, a better career than this, a better health than this. In powerful language, you can never say you're going to fall, you're going to mess that up, you're going to ruin everything. That's just not going to work out. You have to say the opposite. Okay, I've only got 10 minutes to prepare my speech. I only need 10 minutes. I've only got 10 minutes to get there. That's exactly how much time I need. And if I'm late, I wasn't supposed to be there on time. I have a belief now when I get to a party late, it's because I wasn't meant to get there early. I no longer go, oh my God, I'm so late. This is going to be terrible. In fact, I was recently going in a cab across town to get a train to work with a football team. And we got stuck in traffic. And so I was playing a game. I thought, oh my God, I'm going to miss the train. This is terrible. I'm going to ruin my reputation. The team are going to be so upset. And I felt really sick. And then I started to say, the trains run every 20 minutes. It doesn't matter. What's 20 minutes? My material's so great. They have lots of time. After all, they finished practicing at 3 o'clock. And it was fine. So all the way there, I was playing a game, and I actually got the train on time. But they really wouldn't have minded. But I could have ruined my day, made myself panicky and sweaty by going, oh my God, I haven't got enough time, and now it's all ruined. And it's never ruined. You can come back from anything. And then I worked with a client who had cancer and had to go into this MRI scanner. And every time I saw him, he said, I can't do it. I can't get in that scanner. And he said, well, I feel like I'm in my coffin. I feel like it's a premonition of my death. And when I get in the scanner, I think, well, I've got cancer and I'm going to die. And I said, well, I freak out. I press the button, I have to come out. And they keep saying, look, you've got to, I can't even be in there for 2 seconds, which is not true. When people say, I can't do it for even a second. He probably was in there for a few minutes. I said, look,
The words you say to yourself in that scanner, this is a premonition of my death. I feel like I'm in a coffin. I feel like I'm suffocating and I can't do it. That's a blueprint. And your mind doesn't like those words. So how about these words? How about saying, I'm in my bed at home and I'm just so chilled and I could lie here for hours. I'm chilled, I'm relaxed, I'm blissed out. You must use words that make a picture. You can't go, oh, I'm okay really. I'm quite good, I'm not bad, this is okay. Because when I say the words okay, not bad, what's the picture? There's no picture. It's what I call fluff. When you say I'm chilled, I'm blissed out, I'm ecstatic, I'm just lying here and I could do this for hours, it's just so cool, the mind goes, you're right. And when you go, I'm in a coffin and I'm suffocating, the mind goes, you're right. See, here's the great thing. You can choose any words you like. You can go, well, we're all going to be negative and this half's going to be positive. That's your choice. You know what you can't choose? What you do to yourself when you say, I'm an idiot, I'm a moron, I'm a retard, I've got rocks for brains, everything goes wrong. Who would ever like me? I've got cellulite, I'm a single parent, I've got no chance, blah, blah, blah. I didn't go to college, so I couldn't possibly do what you do. I got kicked out of college, by the way, so you can definitely do what I do. And it was the best thing that ever happened to me. I can look at my life and say being fired, being dumped, and being kicked out of college, thank you, God, for putting that up to me because it changed my life. It was the best thing. Rejection has been one of the best things that ever happened to me. Being the least favorite kid, if I could have my life again, I'd go back and be the least favorite kid because I thought I'm going to show my parents that I'm something. And if I was the favorite, I wouldn't have done that. I would have had a totally different life.
If praise is unfamiliar but criticism is familiar, and you say to someone like Robin Williams, oh my God, that last show was funny, he goes, didn't you notice? I've left out the best, I fluffed a word. It wasn't as good as the one before. So if you're not used to praise, you'll reject it, and if you're used to criticism, you'll add it in. Because we do what's familiar. So if we say to someone, I love your book, they go, oh, actually, it's not that good. The other one is much, I love your top. Oh, I got it in a car boot sale. It's 5 years, I've got a hole in it. So if we haven't got praise, we actually reject it. And you just have to say to yourself, I'm going to make this familiar. I'm going to praise myself every day. It might feel weird, but I'll keep doing it. It's a bit like running. You know, running isn't familiar, especially around Beverly Hills. But if you put your shoes on and go for a run on concrete, eventually it becomes familiar and then you like it. I mean, sticking a lens in your eye, that's the weirdest thing.
Very unfamiliar.
The first few times, oh my God, I'm carrying out my eye like that. And then after a while, you can do it almost without thinking because you get used to it. You can make anything familiar or unfamiliar. Your beliefs affect your biology. Your beliefs certainly affect your biochemistry. I've had women of 58 say, could you make me pregnant? I go, I know. It's too late. Why did you wait 30 years? But the mind will follow your instructions, and it's very important to give yourself the right instructions. So of course there are limits. You can't tell yourself you're going to be an astronaut. And when people say to me, I want to be a millionaire, I'm like, what are you going to do to be a millionaire? You can't go, right, I'm going to sit at home, and that's the problem with The Secret. Attract millions to you. What are you going to do for these millions? I want to have a six-pack. You do need to go to the gym. I want to have great health. Well, stop eating pizza and eat better food. But once you get the mind to want it, it's actually easy. But when people say to me, I want to be a millionaire, then we tell them, well, any goal of significance requires you to learn something new. But then they have a fear of learning. And of course, you're right. Then when people come in and go, I want this, you have to look at the blocks. The number one block is the fear of rejection. If I make it, I might get rejected. If I find love, they might leave. If I make all that money, people won't like me anymore. So you've got to smash out of the ballpark the fear of rejection. And you've got to smash out the second belief that says it's all easy. I remember Luther Vandross saying, you know, people say I'm an overnight success. I sang jingles for KFC for 12 years. It was a long overnight. So you do have to also have that desire. I mean, for me, you know, I speak in public, I write books. always aware that somebody's going to go, I hate your book, I don't like it. I'm like, oh, that's okay. They can't reject me. They might reject my book. Most people happen to love them. But to get anywhere in life, you have to get over the fear of rejection. Because people think they're going to die from rejection, but they really don't.
Every day you get to choose how to speak to yourself. But you know what you don't get to choose? What you do to your body when you say, I'm an idiot, I knew I'd mess that up, I knew that relationship wouldn't work, I've been waiting for it to go wrong. In fact, the day we got married, I stuck stickers on all my stuff so that when we got divorced, there'd be no confusion. I was already planning the miscarriage. I didn't buy anything for my baby. I mean, who does that? Lots of people, apparently. They're all my clients, and they plan for stuff to go wrong. They say, I sent my kid to college, and I said, don't worry, you're probably going to hate it. Here's a credit card so you can get a return ticket back in a week's time. They plan it, and you don't want to plan it. You want to ban it.
If someone just comes in and goes, oh, I hate that shirt, or that colour is so not you, or you should never have cut your hair, or whoa, you've got a bit heavy, you just go, thanks for sharing that. Just a really simple thing which says, thank you for sharing your opinion, which I can choose to not let in. You don't have to do anything else. Right. When the minute you go, well, your shirt's pretty awful, or look at your hair, or calling me heavy, you look anorexic, you've let it in. And now you're trying to retaliate. And it's like a game of tennis. If you put down your racket and walk off the court, you can't volley. So the first thing to say is, thanks for sharing that. Yeah. And it's very good for the little barbs we get from people, family, friends, sisters, cousins, exes.
Right.
If someone is really mean and says, you know, I listened to your talk on YouTube, oh my God, you stank up the place, I was embarrassed for you, then you go back and you say, I missed that. Could you repeat that for me, slowly? They will usually not bother because they know that in you asking them to repeat it slowly, you're going to call them out on it. And they usually go, oh, me and my big mouth, I'm just having a bad, I didn't actually really watch it anyway, just ignore me. And if they do, you must not go after them and go, no, I want you to repeat it right now, say it to my face. Don't do that, because a bit like a lion who bares the teeth, they're saying, back off and I don't want to attack you. When a lion bares its teeth, you don't go up to it, you walk away. It gives you a chance to retract. So saying, could you repeat that slowly, is giving the person a chance to retract. They almost always do, but occasionally they'll come back and go, no, I just said you're so wooden as a speaker, as an insult to wood. People come in and they describe, you know, I really want to be successful, but I'd love to be healthier, but I want to find love, but I can't get pregnant because... And the first thing we do is investigate, like a good detective. A detective will lay out pictures and go, what's going on here? And they make sense of it. And very much the same. Some people come to me and go, no, I've got unexplained infertility. What is that? I went, well, there's a clue in the description. It is unexplained. Nobody knows. Your husband's got cracked sperm that swims straight and plenty of it. You've got great eggs, great fallopian tubes, perfect womb. But you can't get pregnant because the unexplained is here. And many people, when they're younger, will say to themselves, if I got pregnant, my dad would kill me. Oh my God, if I got pregnant, it would be the end of the world. And I remember when I was 17 thinking I was pregnant, thinking, oh my God, no, disaster. Oh my God, my dad will be so upset, devastated. When I wasn't, I went, oh, thank you, God. Oh, yes, joy. But you see, the mind listens to everything you say. The mind is always switched on, and it records everything. And it never forgets. So in a moment of absolute terror or fear or pain or anxiety, there's something called an imprint. It goes in. So a child whose mother says, that cat will scratch you and give you blood poisoning, or that dog's going to bite you, or that's a dangerous person, or, you know, I worked with a little kid who had a terrible fear of monsters under the bed. Turned out his dad used to always say, you'll get run over if you do that. You'll kill yourself if you do that. You'll drown if you do that. Turned out his dad was the monster because he was scaring him all the time. So you get a young person, can be an adult, and you get an imprint. And what we do is investigate where did this imprint happen? And when we've got the imprint, which is very easy, you can ask questions to get the imprint. You can listen to the client's story. The one who said, my mum used to cry when I brought up food and was so happy when I ate. Or you can use hypnosis and go back like that. And the reason I love hypnosis so much is you go to the imprint. You know, people come to see me, within 5 minutes they have the imprint. There's no, oh, how does that make you feel? And how do you feel now? And let's talk more about that. And come back next Wednesday at 4 and we'll keep this going, because studies now say that's actually the worst thing you can do, because you just keep the story alive. So we do the investigating, we find the imprint, and then we interpret it. What does that mean? Why do you think, you know, your dad telling all these stories would now leave you to have this monster under your bed? Why do you think at 15 being terrified of being pregnant could possibly mean that today you've got unexplained ability? And they work it out. They go, yeah, now you say that. If I look at those scenes and look at this scene, it all makes sense. And then you interrupt the belief massively, and then you install a brand new belief. You know, you're getting pregnant like a high school kid on their first date. You're super fertile. You've got cracked grade A eggs. Your husband's got the SAS of sperm, and going to collide. So you bring in the very powerful language, and you are going to make a grade A baby. Because of course people say, I want to be pregnant. I'm like, no, you don't. You want to make a baby that you carry to full term. I have clients that I've been pregnant 8 times. You want a perfect, bouncing, healthy baby. So it's another example of not telling your mind what you want. So the combination of the imprint, the investigate, the interpret, the interrupt, and the install is so powerfully transformational. We tell ourselves the story, we play the only part we've ever known, and then that part becomes our own, and we don't know how to separate it. And so people come in with their story and they go, well, you know, I was a newborn baby and my mum told me that I was only like 2 pounds. I nearly died. They had to drop milk in me with a dropper. And I remember my mum telling me she used to cry every time I got weighed, or if she fed me when I threw up, they would get so upset because I could die. Like, okay, and now you're 600 pounds because you keep telling yourself that story. And people tell themselves the story until it validates why, you know, my dad didn't love me. He left before I was born. He never came to see me. But he had another kid that he treated like Jesus, bought him everything, Game Boys, clothes. So if my dad didn't love me, I'm not lovable. And you have to go, but that was then. Your dad was an idiot. That has nothing to do with whether you can find love or not. But clients tell themselves this story, and they don't understand that at any age you can go, well, I think it's time for a new story. And so my job is to first of all find out where, you know, they come in and go, I don't know why I do this. Mm-hmm. I guess I'm just messed up. I don't know why I can't speak. I've always been that way. I go, nope. No baby looks away when you look at them in the hospital. No baby goes, don't look at me. I'm having a bad hair day. We're all born with so much confidence. You have 4 children. They never go, no, I can't get a banana in my mouth. I can't get to grips with this walking, reaching. They're wired to go for something. But a lot of damage is done very early, and I see that all the time. Really silly things like people come in and go, you know, I can't ask for money. And then our TT has what I call interruptions, where after they've gone back, they have to then say, but that's not me because, and that can't be me because, and that won't be me ever again. And what that does is it starts to change the neurons. It's actually called neuroplasticity. It starts to change the way the brain is wired. They stop thinking the way they thought as a child and put into place different beliefs, and then they're forever changed. And it's amazing to see it in action.
So here's my advice to you. Expect amazing things then. If what is expected tends to be realized, expect the best. Expect love and success and an amazing life, because you know what? It will probably be realized really fast if you expect it.
You can only love another person to the degree that you love yourself, and another person can only love you to the degree that they love themselves. And so if you go through life feeling you're unlovable, that will always affect the quality of the relationships you have. And if you date or marry or live with someone who thinks they are unlovable, it's
very hard to have a really healthy, great relationship if the person you are with feels unlovable, or if you, at some deep level, think that you are unlovable. And more problems occur from people attracting the wrong relationship, staying in the wrong relationship because they feel unlovable. I see people in my office time and time and time again who are with the wrong person, and they're too scared to leave in case they won't find someone else. They say, well, we've been together for so long, what's the point? But everything changes when you know that you are lovable. And you see, lovability is essential to being happy. And I have many people who go, well, you know, I've never felt love. Being loved is just a foreign country to me. I don't know what love is. I've gone through my whole life never having had love. And Marilyn Monroe, bless her heart, somebody said to her once, Marilyn, what is this thing about you wearing those really tight dresses and dancing in front of all of those soldiers with everything hanging out? She said, and I'm going to quote her word for word, I need the whole world to love me. I must belong to everyone because I've never belonged to anyone or anything in my entire life, and I probably never will. And there was a girl who was beautiful, stunning, engaging. Everybody loved Marilyn except Marilyn. But you see, if you can't love yourself, nothing really matters. You do know, don't you, that people who are critical have so much criticism reserved for themselves. They actively dislike themselves. And you're actually showing me and the entire office that you really don't like yourself.
By critiquing me.
Yeah, by critiquing, you're just showing me.
Yeah.
Yeah, critical people always have criticism reserved for themselves. They are full of self-criticism, but they reflect it out. And superior people and happy people always praise, and people who feel inadequate always criticize, because criticize withers you and praise builds you up. And if you can use those 5 techniques, thanks for sharing, could you repeat that? Are you trying to hurt my feelings? Won't work, I'm not letting it in. Since we're sharing, did you know what is running your critical behavior? You don't let it in, and being able to not let in criticism, that too will change your life. It makes you bulletproof. You can't stop people being mean and having a horrible day, and we now have trolling, which is becoming an epidemic, so it's actually worse. Our kids used to get bullied at school and go home to a sanctuary.
Now they're bullied online.
Now they're bullied online, on the phone, and it never ends, and they feel really attacked. And see, when you find trolls, they're usually really miserable and unhappy, but they love the power because they have no power. They live on their own or with their mum. They have no life. I mean, we had a terrible situation in England where somebody was trolling this person whose child had been kidnapped, and when they exposed her, she killed herself.
Oh, man.
Which was a terrible thing for her, but obviously her sense of shame that she was outed and to kill herself, but she must have felt terrible. I felt so sorry for her. But she was very vicious in her trolling, but that's a really unhappy person. She needed a lot of help. But when you can teach people to come back from criticism without fighting or going, well, I hate you too, or you're shut up, or crying, when you can just teach them, look, I'm not letting it. It's like if I try to give you a gift, you go, no, I don't need that gift. I'm holding the gift. I can't give you something if you don't take it.
Right.
I can't serve papers on you unless you accept them. I can't serve a volley to you unless you volley it back. So when you learn that people can try and give you anything, but if you don't accept it, you haven't let it in. And if you don't let it in, it can't hurt you. It just hurts the person who's left holding it.
How do you help people establish meaning behind?
Well, I wrote a book called I'm Enough, and we have a program called I'm Enough, and what that does is it takes you the process of where does this come from? You're not born with this belief. How did you get it? And when they discover how they got it, they're able to give it up. One of my first ever clients was this beautiful woman, very hard to believe, and she said, I can never make a relationship last. And it sounds so silly, but she said that her dad used to say to her every day, you'll never ever find anyone that loves you like me. Nobody could love you like me. You'll never find the kind of love that I have. And he programmed, when you label someone, you limit them. So now she's got an imprint. I'm never going to find love like this love. And guess what she never found? Love like that. And all you have to do as a parent is to say, I love you because you're lovable. And all your life you'll find love
like this, love, because you're worth it. So it's little tiny adjustments that have the most profound effect on people. And it's never too late to say, I'm enough, I can find love. And now if you give someone the power to make you feel good, you give them the power to make you feel bad. And if you do it to yourself, you feel so much better. It makes you slightly bulletproof. You still need other people. We all need other people. But the dialoguing with yourself and starting with I'm enough, I picked that because I found all my clients addicts, bingers, bulimics, saboteurs, hoarders, compulsive shoplifters. They all went back to the same thing. I'm not enough. I need more. And if you feel enough, you start to feel equal. See, most of us feel unequal. You're better than me because you got money, or you're more attractive than me. But no dog or cat says, oh, you're better than me because you're a pedigree. A baby doesn't know that another baby's wearing designer clothes and they're not. They have no concept of that. So really what I'm Enough is doing is reactivating, remanifesting and regenerating what you were born with, an ability to say, I'm enough.
Everybody wants to be happy, and we're all looking to be happy. And we seem to have this weird belief that there's some destination we're going to get to one day called happiness, but there's no destination called happiness. There's no terminal you're ever going to arrive at in your life called this is the happy place. If you want to be happy, and why wouldn't you want to be happy? Here's the way to be happy. You got to be happy right now. I see so many people who go, I'll be happy when my kid can walk, when my kid can feed them. So I'll be happy when my kid's gone to school. I'll be happy when. And if you buy into that, I'll be happy when, you're never happy, because when never comes. I'll be happy when I'm married, I'm single. If I could find a great person, I'll be happy. And then you know what you do? You just swap all the problems of being single to having to compromise with somebody else, because you have this belief, I'll be happy when. So if you want to be happy, here's how to be happy. Decide to be happy right now. Don't do that. I'll be happy when I get to my holiday. I'm super stressed at the airport. I'm having a manic moment. But when I get there, I'll be happy, because now you've told your mind that happiness is somewhere you're going to. Tell your mind the truth. I am happy right now. I've decided to be happy in the moment. I'm choosing to be happy. You see, your mind is set up to do what you tell it. And every time you say to your mind, I'll be happy when, it believes that happiness is out there and you're going there, but you might never get there. When you go, I'm happy right now. I'm happy packing. I'm happy at the stress of the airport. I'm happy this minute. I am choosing to be happy. Then your mind understands the truth. Happiness is now. You're not going to happiness. You're not looking for happiness. And by the way, nobody else can make you happy, while an amazing partner, a great career, a wonderful kid will enhance your happiness. If you give that to someone else, my partner's going to make me happy. Having a baby is going to make me happy. Having a great job where I get recognized is going to make me happy. Getting praise is going to make me happy. Do you know what you're doing? You're giving someone else the responsibility to make you happy. And if you say to them, here you go, you make me happy, that will work for a while, but then, you know what you're giving them? You're giving them power to make you unhappy. I want a little baby to be happy, and I got it, but now that baby is a 14-year-old teenager who doesn't want to speak to me. People say, oh, you know, you make me feel amazing, and then the other side of that is you make me feel so angry and so lonely and so unimportant. Don't give your power to be happy to anyone else. It's up to you. And don't wait to be happy. Choose to be happy right now, in the moment. I mean, look at little children. The rain makes them happy. A puddle makes them happy. Everything makes them happy because they live in the moment. Happiness is an inside job. Go inside you, live in the moment. I promise you, if you make a decision, I'm going to be happy right now, no matter what, and everything I do, you'll train your mind to be happy.
What do you think is your greatest challenge that you face internally, personal challenge, as someone who's helped tens of thousands of people personally
My greatest
and understand all this stuff?
Yeah, I suppose it's not a challenge to get more people to understand it, because people need it. You know, we all need to be nourished. You know, we need we need nourishment. Our soul needs to be nourished. It's not about organic avocados from Erewhon Market. That's great. But we all need this emotional nourishment. So is it a challenge getting more people to accept it? I don't think it is, because everyone I see go, oh my God, I love that. And some people go, you know, I listen to you, thought, oh, that's rubbish. But then I found myself going into the garage and saying nice stuff to myself. So maybe my only challenge, but even then it's not a challenge, is I would say half the medical profession love what I do and really go for it and go, oh my God, this is amazing, I'm using it with my own patients. And the other half go, this is all silly. You know, illness is caused by disease, that you can't talk yourself better. Talking to yourself doesn't make any difference. You can't possibly give birth just using positive affirmations. It's like if you had cancer and you had a very good oncologist who might go, look, you know, the way you think, the way you eat, the way you act, the way you rest can all affect. And they'll go, nope, you got cancer, chemotherapy, there's nothing else that will work. And all that stuff is hocus pocus. Right. So that is a challenge, but it's not so much, because I find so many doctors love what I do and go, wow, you know, all these illnesses are autoimmune illnesses. Many years ago, there was a wonderful psychiatrist in London called Dr. Maudsley, and he had a great expression, it's always been my favorite, and it says, the feeling that cannot find its expression in tears may cause other organs to weep. So he knew 100 years ago.
That's beautiful.
So beautiful and so true.
The feeling that
cannot find its expression in tears will cause other organs to weep. So he's sort of saying, if you don't feel the feeling, your body's going to feel it. If you don't open your mouth and say, you hurt me, don't be surprised if you get a screaming. I've got this screaming headache. I've got this angry red rash. I've got this thumping pain. And by the words they're using, angry, screaming, they're saying, I have rage that can't come out.
I'm not expressing it, but it's expressed through my body.
Yeah, because the body is very clever at finding something. People, I worked with someone who couldn't walk, and all she was, I can't stand that. I can't stand my ex, I can't stand my life, I can't stand my kids, and you can't stand up. Isn't that interesting?
Oh, wow.
She had sort of phantom leg pains because she couldn't stand anything. Believe me, it's also, well, what makes me sick is my sister-in-law. Oh, I'm so sick of her. She just makes me sick. I vomit in my mouth every time I hear her voice, and then they wonder why they're bulimic.
Right.
Because our words really affect our reality, partly because, and it's such an easy thing to say, every word you say is a blueprint that your mind, body, and psyche are working to make your reality. So we make our thoughts, and our thoughts make us, then we go out into the world and we justify our thoughts every day. But our words are a blueprint, and when you know that, you think, well, I better pay attention to that blueprint. I better not say this kid is killing me. My job is making me want to die. I'm so stressed out by what? The queue in Hughes Market. Well, go to Zimbabwe where there is no Hughes Market, and there is no queue, and there's no money to buy food anyway. Then you can say you're stressed, because your problem, the queue in Erewhon and the bill, is someone else's fantasy dream come true. This freeway is killing you. You have a car. You have look at people on 4 buses. I used to take my daughter to school, and I remember one day thinking that, oh my God, this commute is hell. And I saw someone at a bus and thought, how lucky am I? I'm in my car, I've got the heating, I've got a cup of tea, I've got an hour to listen to something, I can talk to my kid. I keep saying I want an hour to myself, well, here it is. And I learned to stop doing that. But when you say, how are you? Oh, nightmare. It is torture. What? The traffic. Yeah, the traffic, the queue. People keep ringing me, the phone ringing. It's torture. Well, maybe if it didn't ring, that might be worse. Some of my clients who are models will say, my life is hell because people look at me. It's like, really? Well, one day they won't, and then you might miss it. Yeah, but I get on a plane and guys hit on me. It's a nightmare. Well, put on a baseball hat and glasses, read a book. Over yourself, Then they'll leave you alone. But that's not a nightmare, it's just mildly inconvenient. It's not hell.
Right.
It's not killing you, but we use these incredible words. This is torture, this is killing me, this is a disaster. What is? Well, I went to the bathroom and I forgot to pause my movie. Well, that's not a disaster. But when you use those words, because your mind can't differentiate, just to feel like it really is a disaster. Well, most people that come to me don't go, hey, I've come to see you, but I don't want to give up my problem. I mean, they do with food. They go, I want to be super healthy. Okay, you're going to stop eating donuts. I don't want to do that. Have you got anything else? I'm like,
There's
no.
a difference between I don't want to do one thing and I want to do it, but I'm not sure I have the energy to see it through.
But you see, the belief is what you're saying is it's work, so much work. It's no work. So what I would suggest for someone like you is just monitor how you speak. Oh, I forgot that. I got a terrible memory. I got that. I didn't miss that. I got a terrible memory. And start to say, I have a phenomenal memory. I have an outstanding memory. I have a reliable, foolproof memory. So I saw it with my daughter when she was little. She'd leave the house and come back because she had so much to remember, her school bag and her swimming stuff and her lunch. And I'd always say, what have you remembered? She goes, I remembered my lunch, remembered my swimming. I go, that's so great that you remember. And very quickly she went from, oh, forgotten, I've got to go home, my mum's going to be really cross, to, no, my memory's great. At the gate it told me, school lunch, school coat. And of course, if you go to any kid's classroom, you'll see coats and bags. They forget everything. And we never go, well, it's the memory, you see. It disappears with age. And I've been people of 90 who can tell you everything about their childhood and what it was like in the war. So you have to just make a decision to tell yourself, I have an outstanding, reliable, phenomenal, incredible, impressive, foolproof, big words, of course, because you want to excite you. And if you say it enough, your mind's job is to give you that memory and then stop saying, what have I forgotten? Say, what have I remembered? And then something else you do is just say, that will come to me. You know, you have to understand the mind a bit. So when you're dealing with a conscious mind, the subconscious doesn't do anything. If you're saying, what's the name of that book or that restaurant? Oh, I don't know. I give up. I've got a terrible memory. And you suddenly go, oh, it's come into my head. It was this book. It was the Tim Ferriss book. I remember now. Because you've given your mind an instruction. What is the name of that book? Your mind will go and find it. But if you are still actively looking, it doesn't do it. So we have something called command therapy. You've got to command your mind. Go ahead and remind me where my passport is. Remind me. And so often it's just really poor communication. You know, people say, oh God, I'm flying to London tonight and I can never fall asleep on a plane. I just can't go to sleep. We're like, well, where are you going? You don't go anywhere. You don't fall. You lie on the plane and you invite sleep to come to you. You go, I'm lying here, my eyes are heavy and sleep's descending upon me like a mist. Because it's a misdirect of the mind, because you don't fall and you don't go. But when you say sleep's coming to me, and when I'm in different time zones all over the world, I lie in bed and go, right, sleep now. Send sleep to me now. I insist on 8 hours of sleep. I need 8 hours. And I tell my mind what I want, but I am very clear, very specific. But not, can I fall asleep? I need to, look at it, I've got to get up in 5 hours. Now I'm stressed. I just give my mind very clear instructions. You do have to train yourself a bit, but if you use those words, my memory is impressive and infallible, your mind knows what that looks like and it will make it real. If you just go, I need a better memory, that's not exciting. So excite it with powerful words and you won't be surprised, or you might, how much better it gets. But you've got to give up this belief that it's work. Because talking to yourself isn't work. Exciting your mind isn't work. Going to the gym is work, but saying every day as you get up, I've got a great memory. I can even imagine my diary and I can see what's in it. If you tell yourself that, it actually really becomes true, and you'll notice that everyone who's got a good memory will say, my memory is amazing. Oh, I have the best memory ever. They never go, I've got a mind like a sieve. I'd forget my head if it wasn't screwed on. I would forget the eyes in my head if they weren't there. But people with a poor memory, they justify it. They remind themselves how bad it is instead of deciding, no, I'm going to have a great memory.
When you wake up in the morning, start going, wow, this tea is amazing. This coffee is sensational. I love the smell of the shower gel. I love the sheets. I love waking up. I had to make myself do this, and it completely changed my life. I wake up and go, I love my life. I love being here. My first coffee, go, I love this coffee. I love my sheets. I love everything. And that's not really true, but if you can make your mind be happy with little wins, every time you eat something, it's sensational. make a phone call, go, this is great, I'm reading, I'm watching my favorite show, this is amazing. When you sit down at the end of the day to watch Netflix, go, this is amazing, this is wonderful. You're training your mind to celebrate tiny little things. And when you get big things, every day feels like Christmas. You really can. You can stop being ill. You can change the shape of your body. You can change your digestion. Yeah. You can have physical things. You can change the way you interact with your kids. So here's a good example. My kid is a nightmare. Change that to my child is age appropriate.
There you go.
This builder's going to go, oh my God, that's a disaster. But a good builder will go, it's a challenge. When you said talking to girls is terrifying, you just change that to it's challenging, but hey, there's hundreds of girls out there. It's a numbers game. One will say yes.
Some will say hi, yeah.
And even if they say no, the only risk in life is not to take the risk. That's the risk. If you don't, when you take the risk and it goes wrong, you learn something. You may have heard many times about the marshmallow test. And the marshmallow test is an interesting test where they took children and put them in a room with one marshmallow. It's also been done with one cookie and one pretzel. And they said to the children, if you wait, don't eat that marshmallow, then you will have two. So they were seeing how good these children were at delaying gratification, because if you can delay gratification, you are wired for success. And they found one group, maybe a third of the kids, just shoved that marshmallow in their mouth straight away and said, oh, I couldn't wait, I needed it now. They needed instant gratification. The second group said, no, I'm going to wait. And they sat there knowing that if they waited, they got two marshmallows. The third group, well, they were interesting because they really wanted that marshmallow. They were very much a combination of group 1 and 2. They wanted it. They also wanted to wait. As they made funny faces, they turned their chair around, they tried not to look at the marshmallow, and they forced themselves to wait. And they also got the second marshmallow. So group 1, instant gratification. Group 2, naturally delayed gratification. Group 3 were kind of programmed to be group 1, but fought with themselves until they became group 2. They resisted their natural instinct to eat the marshmallow. And what they discovered as they followed those children was group 2 and 3, the ones who delayed gratification naturally or completely unnaturally, were way more successful than group 1, that when I need it and I can't wait and I've got no self-control, it looks nice, it tastes nice, bam, I've eaten it and now I kind of wish I'd waited. So I'm telling you this because it does not matter if you are not naturally group 2. It only matters that you can train yourself, teach yourself, and help yourself to become group 2. Because here's the thing, when we're kids, we learn naturally to delay gratification. Our parents say, clean your room and then you can have an ice cream. Do your homework and then you can go to the park. Do your chores and then we'll go out and have cookies. We all do that naturally with children. And then we learn to stop. And you see, if you come in from work and you are naturally a gratification delay, you'll go, wow, my favorite program is on tonight and I'm going to have this wonderful dinner. But first I'm going to go through my emails, do the stuff that's important, and then my dinner and movie is my reward. And what happens is you get through the work you don't do because you're thinking of the reward. You go, this is a reward for doing that. Other people come in and go, no, I'm going to watch a movie, I'm going to have a lovely dinner, and later I do my emails. And of course, later never comes because you had your reward first. And it is a classic mistake to take your reward first. You know, many years ago, I was trying to get a book deal, and I'd put on a little talk about how to lose weight, because my book was all about that. And I hadn't sold hardly any tickets, so I cancelled it. And the same day, my agent called me and went, oh my gosh, I've got 6 different publishers who want to come to your talk. I'm like, well, I've just cancelled it. She went, put it back on, quick, because they're all coming. And it was that weekend, and I think she called me on a Thursday night. So on the Friday, I rang all my friends, everyone. I said, come to this talk, it's completely free. And I got lots of people to come because I knew that 6 major publishing houses were coming to this talk.
And she told me one of them was definitely going to give me a deal, if not all of them. So I only had Friday. And on Friday, I could have spent ages planning the talk. But I didn't. I actually made a mood board. I thought that's a good thing. So on Friday night, I had an old picture and I took it out of the frame and I started to stick things in it. And I wrote, Marisa Peer gets a great book deal. I cut out the Times best-selling list and I stuck it in there and wrote on it, my book, You Can Be Thin. And I did lots and lots of pictures like Marisa Makes People Thin. I went through magazines, I cut stuff out, I wrote some checks out there. I made this mood board really exciting and I just looked at it and looked at it and looked at it. And it made me so excited about my talk. And the next day I went off and I did the talk and lo and behold, at the end, somebody came up to me and she said, oh my God, I love that talk and we want you to come in on Monday and we're going to offer you a book deal straight away and we'd really love you not to meet the other 5 publishers because we want you. So that was very exciting. And in fact, I did end up signing with them and it all was wonderful. But I know it was that mood board that helped me because it took my mind to where I wanted to be. It made me focus only on success. Of course, a mood board doesn't say things like, well, I might not make it. The mood board has success. So let's imagine you want to be a therapist. That's what your vision is, or a photographer. Maybe you want to be a chef. I want you to imagine you've got a mood board and you fill it up with pictures. If you want to be a chef, pictures of great food, reviews from restaurants, and of course you're going to cross out the name of the chef and write your name in instead in black marker pen. So find lots of reviews and put your name in and then write all over the mood board too. Let's say your name is Alexandra Richardson. You're going to put Alex Richardson instead of that chef and you're going to put lots of reviews. And let's say you found the top 10 best restaurants and you're going to call your restaurant The Fox. And so you cross that and you put The Fox, Alex Richardson's restaurant, The Fox. And you just keep looking at that. And you write all over your mood board all the things that work for you. People love this restaurant, the best restaurant in wherever you live in the world. The food here is amazing. And then you look at lots of interviews with chefs and you imagine your interview and you put it up there. You can even mock one up. That's what printers are for. So mock up an interview, mock up everything and look at that mood board. Mock up all the things that you're going to cook that are going to give you pleasure. Mock up the cookery book you're going to read.